Hello. We can do the roll call whenever you're ready. Anita?
Yes, Councilmember Morrell.
Here.
Councilmember Jeruso. Councilmember Harris. Councilmember King. Councilmember Green.
Here.
And we have a quorum. Let the record reflect that Councilmember Moreno is present.
Thank you. First up, we have the approval of the minutes of the June 5th meeting. I will move to adopt. Can I get a second? Second by Councilmember Green. All right. 5 yeas, no nays. The minutes are adopted. Next, we have appointments. First up, we have Sean Favre with Municipal Yacht Harbor Management Corporation. We have received a waiver timely, and all of Sean Favre's documentation is in order. I will move to forward Sean Favre to the full council favorably. Seconded by Councilmember Green. 5 yeas, no nays. That is adopted. Next up for Sewage and Water Board. First up, we have Kimberly Thomas. Is Kimberly Thomas present? Come on up. Good morning. I will ask you the same question we ask everyone. Why do you want to serve on the Sewage and Water Board?
Good morning, everyone. The reason I want to serve on the Sewage and Water Board is because, number one, I had served once before in a capacity to where we were doing some great things in the city as far as transparency. We were working on a lot of the FEMA projects that they had, and I had a thorough understanding and knowledge of what it took for those projects to kind of go forward. I had knowledge on pretty much how Sewage and Water Board worked. I absolutely loved learning about how our water system works and how we can strengthen it. And as a community advocate, it's easier for me to kind of tell people and let them know what's going on, what questions to ask, things that are concerning them, and kind of providing some type of transparency when it comes to our community. A lot of times it's a little bit easier to talk to someone who's a layperson, a grassroots person, and that is why I would be excited to serve on there. I would be committed to the actual position. And of course, there's always understanding what Sewage and Water Board does, how it works, and actually, you know, supporting people that have concerns and questions dealing with Sewage and Water Board. So.
Well, I appreciate that. I know that this council's had a very fraught relationship with Sewage and Water Board. In particular, we had to fight them dragging and screaming to address the billing issue. People like you make me excited because when I would talk to Sewage and Water Board members and say that no regular person can pay a $5,000 erroneous bill, and you have board members that are like, I could pay that, and they don't realize they're not the average citizen. So I think having someone like you on the board who understands the actual day-to-day concerns of what's going on of the average ratepayer to advocate for those ratepayers, because the reality is Sewage and Water Board's in a very difficult spot. Their approval rating's around 14, 15%. We need people like you that can tell them what the average person is experiencing so they can actually address those concerns and really kind of rebuild trust with the average everyday person. So I appreciate your service. I will move, seconded by Councilmember Green.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas, for your enthusiasm for this petition.
4 or 5? 5 yeas. 5 yeas, no nays. Should be forwarded to the council favorably. Thank you so much for being here today. Courtney Scruggs. Same question to you, Ms. Scruggs. Why do you want to serve on the Sewage and Water Board?
I have a couple notes. So good morning. So I am newly back in New Orleans after building my career across several cities and sectors, born here and then moved away and lived in Philadelphia and Boston and DC, and I just came back about 5.5 years ago. And I returned to New Orleans in part because of family, but also because I wanted to live here and also to serve here. Nostalgia and family, like I mentioned, was a really big part of my reason for returning, wanting to be close to my mother during COVID to make sure she survived COVID. But also it's because I believe that professionals who have roots here should be committed to coming back and investing their expertise in the public service of the people of this community. I come with legal and operational experience, but most importantly, I come with a perspective of someone who's chosen New Orleans again, and partly because I believe in the potential of our city, and I believe in the fact that the residents of the city deserve reliable, transparent, and forward-looking systems. I want to make a positive impact on my hometown. I've done that in multiple cities across the country, and I feel very convicted that I need to do it here. Full stop. Today, that looks like service through the Sewage and Water Board to represent everyday residents as a consumer advocate. An advocacy role is not new to me. I am not new to being in bodies that are unpopular, having to say the hard things, being under high scrutiny. That is not a new role to me. I mean, I'm a lawyer, and oftentimes I'm the person that has to say no, that has to bring up risk when everyone wants to say yes, that has to say, hold on, let's consider these things. So I feel like I'm fit for the less glamorous parts of the role. I recognize that this is not always going to be glamorous, if ever. But I also recognize that it matters, and that it matters deeply, and that it is an honor to be able to serve our communities, to impact in a positive way a system that is so critical to how they live, how they grow, and how they thrive in New Orleans. So yeah, that's the reason. I think I have a lot to offer. I feel convicted. I feel like I have a responsibility to do so. And I'm excited to learn and serve. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your service. It is apparent from your answer you are very aware of what you're getting yourself into. All right, Leslie, Councilmember Harris has moved. Councilman Green has seconded. Please vote your machines. 5 yeas, no nays, you reported favorably. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have contracts per Council Rule 57 for discussion and vote. First up, we have the Turf Alliance LLC amendment to agreement between the City of New Orleans and Turf Alliance LLC for the installation of synthetic turf at 2 baseball stadiums. All right, Vince, come on down. You can explain it.
Good morning, Council. This CEA amendment is to the original CEA amendment that was given to Turf Alliance. Turf Alliance is the company that installed the Super Bowl turf at the Super Bowl for the event. They had to immediately remove the turf after the game, so it was a quick turnaround obligation. We entered into a CEA agreement with Turf Alliance, and working with Larry, we identified several sites: Lafitte Greenway, Joe Brown Baseball Field, and Perry Rome Baseball Field. That work is finished. We just issued a substantial completion last week, and it was determined that we've got some turf left over. So that presented an opportunity for us to cover additional fields. Once again, working with NORD, we've identified the Larry Gilbert baseball infield and the Wesley Barrow baseball infield. The funding for this amendment is coming from state funds that we had dedicated for capital improvements at Wesley Barrow, and NORD put up $500,000 of their own funding as well to cover the cost. The contractor's ready to go. He's planning, if he can move forward, he's going to start as soon as possible, and we are anticipating that work being done by the end of August.
All right, I think that clearly, oh, go ahead, Mr. Green.
I just want to thank you all for the research that is, and the decision-making process that involves these stadiums having been identified. It reminds me that recreation in New Orleans continues. It's not back, it continues. So I appreciate the fact that you all have worked with this organization and that there's been successful installations at other events, at other stadiums, and I look forward to the work that's going to be done at Wesley Barrow and also at other places. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will move. Can I get a second? Second by Councilmember Freddie King. Please vote your machines. 5 yeas, no nays. It is adopted. Our last item on our agenda, we have Mr. Gilbert Montano, Christina Hamilton, and Mr. Larry Barabino Jr. to discuss the payroll issues that occurred
All they
for our
kept
workers.
come up, I just wanted to clarify that the contract wasn't adopted. It's going to be recommended for
Sorry,
approval.
I recommend it for approval. Thank you very much for that clarification. All right. Whenever y'all are ready.
Okay, just wait a minute.
Okay.
Lydia. I'm with Lydia. Might not be enough on the end, or on the end. He can, if he can. Yeah. Yeah.
Chairman Morel, members of the committee, I will let the team introduce themselves, or the directors introduce their team members. Wanted to give a little context. I've been a little bit of a facilitator once this problem was brought to my attention, and I think the presentation will demonstrate the solution, the challenge, and the plan moving forward. With that, I know the team did prepare a presentation, and they will happily address any questions that you all may have, as will I. But with that, I'll turn it over to Christina and Larry to introduce their respective team members that were involved and intricate in this whole process.
Good morning, council members. Assistant CAO Christina Hamilton here. I have Ms. Allison Lee. She is my Chief Operations Manager. She oversees NORD. And then I have our Personnel Division Chief over NORD, Ms. Lydia Glapion Days. And then I also have our Chief Operations Manager, Mr. Erwin Fuentes, on the end there. He assists Allison and her team. He also is over another team, but they work with NORD as well.
Yeah. And good morning, Larry Barabino Jr., CEO of NORD. I have with me Dewana Johnson, who is our multi-programs director who oversees youth and teen camps. Also sitting in the audience, I have Giselle Jones, who is our aquatics director, and Natasha Robinson, who is our chief programming officer.
I'll go ahead and get started. Also, so in the audience, we do also have some other HR representatives who have been assisting with NORD as well. I'm not going to name all of them, but they are in the audience. I'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. All right, so the background. NORD had 77 seasonal summer hires who were due to be paid on Friday, June 13th. There were 46 seasonal lifeguards and 31 seasonal summer camp workers. 26 of the 46 seasonal lifeguards did not receive payment on Friday, June 13th. None of the summer camp workers received payment on Friday, June 13th. Onboarding delays prevented the seasonal employees from being paid on time, including the following underlying causes: incomplete applications and missing documentation from applicants, communication gaps between NORDC hiring managers and the human resources team, process inconsistencies across the onboarding workflow. Current status. So out of the 26 lifeguards who did not receive payment on June 13th, 24 have since been paid, and the remaining 2 are expected to receive payment no later than this Friday. Out of the 31 summer camp workers who did not receive payment on June 13th, 25 have since been paid, and the remaining 6 are expected to receive payment no later than this Friday. Next steps. So NORDC staff and the human resources team have been collectively managing the onboarding process for the lifeguards and the summer camp workers. Going forward, this process will be managed solely by human resources. Mandatory checklists will be attached to every hire packet to confirm that every step has been completed before a start date is provided. Start dates will only be provided in writing by the human resources team. Incomplete paperwork will not be accepted. HR manpower will also be increased with seasonal HR staff to effectively process the volume of NORDC's seasonal summer hires. This concludes my presentation, and we are available for questions.
Look, I realize this is hindsight, but this is at least the second or third time this has happened. like, why aren't we doing this at the very beginning? Like, you apply in April, all the paperwork's in place, there's no problem. I mean, I just, look, guys, like, the bottom line is y'all are getting the bad PR on this, and it just feels like the solution's kind of easy. This isn't, we don't have the money, it's just like bureaucracy is the hard part here. So just doing it earlier and making sure all the boxes are checked solves your problems. It sounds like. I mean, so it's like we want to help you. We don't want to make things hard, but like, is there just a process in place so that way this doesn't happen to y'all again? Just make it simple.
So Councilman, it's actually, we're talking two different scenarios that took place. So in the past, it was the summer kids being paid with stipends and through Job 1, which is a different process. These are City of New Orleans transient employees, which is a different process. And this consists of making sure they're having background checks, making sure they're having drug tests, different things like that. So the scenario that took place a year or two ago were the teens with the stipends, which I can say that all of our teens receive their half a stipend on between yesterday and today. So that process went smoothly, which was a challenge we faced a year or two ago. So that process has been it's been managed smoothly, and they received their first payment between yesterday and today. So that is handled. But this is different. This was this is more of the employee transient employees that came on board.
Okay, I'm glad, let's start with the good news first. I'm glad the Job 1 employees have all been paid. Great job getting that fixed. With that said, there are transient employees during the summer, and this is not like, hey, we didn't know. I mean, anytime there is this was unforeseen, we should all just say to ourselves, we all are human beings and make mistakes, and even the best of professionals. I just want you all to get the credit where you deserve it. That's really where this is coming from, and I know how hard you work, Larry, your team works, people in the CEO's office work, and when there's just like bureaucratic hiccups, it hurts your progress. Yes. And all I'm trying to do is just say, like, whatever we can do to help make that progress easier for you, we want to help you do it. Thank you.
Councilmember Harris, then Council Vice President Elena Moreno, and then Councilperson King.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Belden Baptiste for bringing the issue to the attention of Allison in my office and to the attention of District B. I do want to know how you all found out. Was it through social media? Did someone complain? When did you find out that there was a lack of payment?
So I started finding out through phone calls. People were calling me, sending me emails. That's when I found out for sure that people, yes, were not paid.
And when? Do you know when, approximately?
Wednesday is when I started to receive, I'm trying to think, I think that was the 18th,
June 18th?
June 18th, I believe that was, because I think that Thursday was the 19th.
And then you started working on resolving the issue?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and my understanding from Allison in my office is that you've been working overtime to try to get these folks paid.
Absolutely.
And there are how many outstanding now? 3?
There are a total of 8 employees altogether that we expect to be paid anywhere from today to Friday.
Will anybody else, will they receive any back pay or?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So it's back pay and then moving forward?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Yes, and I found out when my leadership went to calling me when the first payroll hit and when the staff didn't get paid is when I found out, and that's when Christina and I really started working together, and we pulled everyone together. And I want to thank Gilbert and Christina for pulling that team together because they've been working diligently. They've taken over my conference room. I have no more conference room at Nord anymore, but I appreciate the efforts and the hard work that the HR team has been doing to resolve this issue, to make sure that our lifeguards and our summer camp counselors are getting paid.
So they were supposed to be paid on Friday, June 13th, and Christina, you found out June 18th. Larry, when did you find out? Around the same time?
So I started hearing that some didn't receive their checks on Friday, but when it really blew up that Monday or that Tuesday when I found out that none of our camp counselors received their checks and some of our lifeguards received their checks. And so that's when I started communicating more or less with Christina to find out what was going on. And as we did a deep dive, we went to seeing the different challenges that had taken place and just went to automatically working to resolve it.
And confirming going forward, HR is going to take over
Absolutely.
the onboarding process. So
Absolutely.
NORD is just cut out of the process.
Absolutely. And not just, I don't want to say cut out, like we don't, we appreciate all of the work that they've done, but we just, in order to get a handle and to know where everything is and why it is there, we have to have our team involved in every step of the process. It's difficult when you have, so many different hands involved that are not HR managers, frankly,
Right.
and that's not a bad thing. They're just not, right? So there's things that our team is looking for that they may not be looking for, whatever have you. And I just think it's more fair to everyone for us to separate the duties and have HR only do human resources and their team just to focus on their NOR duties.
Their NOR duties. All right, thank you.
Yes, so we're going to just do the interviewing and the selections. Of course, on the aquatic side, we do the training and the certification, and once they pass the test, everything will be turned over from that point, moving forward to HR to finish, whether it's receiving and collecting all the documentation and et cetera, but we're moving everything over to HR to finish it, to complete the process of the onboarding.
Sure, because HR has embedded processes. I see mention of a checklist, which I'm a big fan of checklists, in order to get all the documentation so people can get onboarded and paid going forward.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council Vice President Moreno, and then Councilmember King.
Yeah, just on the same vein as Councilmember Harris, I just want to say thank you all so much for recognizing the problem and changing things up so that it actually gets fixed and fixed long-term. I feel like so often, we see issues and instead of fixing them, we just keep doing things the same and problems persist over and over again. So I just really appreciate NORD working with HR and HR understanding, saying that this is actually our role and we should be the ones who are able to do this best. So that's really all that I wanted to say. I just appreciate the level of collaboration to finally get this resolved and hopefully resolved from now on moving forward for good.
Councilmember King.
Yeah, I'm glad that this is also resolved. I just want to clear up the air for some people who sent emails and made phone calls, that this was not a NARD-C issue. Is that correct? Can we say that?
So it was a collective issue because, again, we on the front end managed the portion of bringing selecting the people and things like that. So it was a collective issue because we had the folders going between our folks that was doing the selecting, the interviewing to HR and back and forth. So it was a more or less collective issue. But NORD itself does not put the people in the system to be processed or paid. That component is managed by the HR team. So like I say, but collectively we work together to resolve everything, which is the big picture of it.
That sounds good. I just want to clear up that for people who were calling upset with the wrong people. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to echo Council Member Harris. I want to thank Belden Batiste for reaching out to me. I know I spoke with Gilbert, I want to say the Monday or Tuesday after the event when Belden called me from the Treme Center because he was telling me that there were upset workers who had not been getting paid. I want to say I appreciate we found a solution to this going forward. I do think that there is often opportunities in this city where we have duplicative work being done, and streamlining it and having it centralized with HR is certainly the way to go. I do think that there needs to be a more aggressive, proactive effort to kind of resolve these problems because, as was stated previously, something like this seems to happen every year. I know that we've resolved the job one issue, but there seems to be every year a hiccup where particularly kids aren't being paid. And as much as we want to make sure every single contractor, and Net 30 has done that, make sure contractors are paid timely, for many of these kids, their first job is this, and it leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth when a kid's first job experience is a disappointment. Because you don't want some young person, young woman, young man, who this is their first time putting the work in to get that first paycheck, and we mess up so they don't get paid. So I'm glad it's been solved going forward. I do think, and this is not simply with NORD, but I think across the board, anything we can do when it comes to hiring in particular and onboarding, HR should be onboarding everyone.
Yes.
And I really think that rather than wait for the next problem to occur, there needs to be an aggressive effort at every single department that after you hire someone, HR processes them. Because though this has come to our attention because of the kids being involved, I can tell you as a council person, I constantly interact with people who are hired, but then have significant delays to actually starting work. And we don't want anyone who gets that job with the city for whatever reason. We need the workers, whether it's kids or whether it's adults, and any delay in that person being selected and being out there doing the work we need them to do, it's lost time, it's lost effort, and it really breeds a level of distrust in an employee where if it takes them 3-4 weeks to get their first check, then they start worrying, is my second check, my third check gonna come on time? So anything that we can do as a council to aid y'all with HR, supplanting every department, not just, no, I'm talking about safety and permits, wherever. The moment they get picked, you should be processing them, because I get that complaint constantly. People are like, I thought I was hired, but then there's this tremendous delay because the people that hired them, they don't often have the sense of urgency to get that paperwork to y'all, and people don't realize until y'all process them, they don't exist in the system. So thank you for the solution. Mr. Batiste, do you have a card filled out?
Good afternoon, Council. Belden Noonan, Man Baptiste. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to Leslie Harris and Allison, because they was working hard. They was even trying to get Sewage Water Board Energy to help the people. Shouts out to you, Councilman JP. Shouts out to you, Helene and Freddie, because y'all office do respond, and I appreciate that, even though we disagree. But y'all office do respond. First of all, I want to shout Mr. Barabino out, because he took a whipping from the community, and he went to every site to explain it to the children. But it wasn't Mr. Larry Barabino's fault. He even took a weapon for 3 camps that just failed he had nothing to do with. But I want to shout Larry out, because I got on him on the phone. He said, look, Noonan, I got to break it down. But he went to every site to let the kids know. Not his CAO office. Let's get to the good stuff. My problem is, JP and Council, and listen to me good, the kids feel disappointed because they got their checks, but the kids didn't get their checks. And at the end of the day, the CEO has failed 4 years in a row with the people not getting their checks. Now, it's all right they say they got a fix to it, but we be right back here next summer, hopefully. Well, I think a new administration coming in, so I think things gonna change. But this HR spot, tell you the truth. The woman was hired from the CAO as a favor, and she went out 3 months, and they let those children suffer. And the biggest part I have in the community, the children don't want to come to the program. They don't want to work in the community, so it make it hard for Mr. Barabino when they're disappointed every time. But before I finish, Sune blow the whistle, or whatever they call our whistleblower. She told us 3 months this was going to happen, and it's still happening right now. So if they're going to keep feeling the children, it's hurting the children, but I shout all y'all out, but Gilbert, Montana need to be fired.
Councilmember King.
That was old. I'm gonna take it out.
Thank you. There's no other questions. Any online comments? All right. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Mr. King moves we adjourn. Sorry, Mr. Jeruso moves we adjourn. Mr. King seconds. All in favor? Aye. 4 yeas, no nays, we're adjourned. Thank y'all for being here today again.
Thank you.